Are you looking to start yield farming but haven't really an idea where to start? Well, I've got you covered. I'm going to show you 2 different scenarios here of what I would do right now if I was starting all over from scratch again, and obviously starting with this with $100. So let's dive straight into it. First things first is I would get myself into a group. This is my own plug. More than welcome to join a group. Check out the link in the description below. Also, what I would do is make sure I have a clear picture of what you're actually wanting to do. So this brings me on to this, build your DeFi portfolio blueprint. Now this is something that most people have never done, and most people, and including myself, I'll hold my hands up to this, that I didn't do this in the early stages and it completely wrecked portfolios for me. So before we jump into that, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel, trying to break out of that view jail that I'm currently in at the moment. So as you can see here, hopefully my big head is not in the way, you can see most people in this space look at yield farming and DeFi as a get rich quick scheme. It's not. They all want the money right now, and myself included, I want the money right now. However, we need to start thinking of this with a completely different mindset and think long term. Think of us ourselves trying to compete with the stock markets, portfolio building, you know, all this side of things. Our focus, as I mentioned there, needs to shift to stock markets. However, with stock markets, you get basic enough return, obviously, unless you're in really good stocks, fair enough. But if we take the S&P 500 for an example, I think it's around 12-15% return, maybe. Even at that might be a bit of a stretch. But we can get much more better bang for our buck, I suppose, using DeFi. And this is exactly what I want to show you in today's video. So this brings me on down here to this point, and pretty much be honest, comment below how many of you have built a portfolio exactly like this. We focus at the bottom of our portfolio is a high risk, we go for medium risk, and then we look at foundation at the top. And this is exactly the approach you go. And obviously the mindset here is these two are more than likely down here. Oh, I can't move it there now. So these two are more than likely down here at the bottom, foundations at the bottom. We have our medium risk here and a high risk up at the top. And pretty much it's a completely wrong approach to take for it, because what's going to happen is as soon as this happens, our high risk rewards are high for a short while, then our ranges break down, the crypto market goes to shit. Jerome Powell is coming along giving out bad news constantly, and your earnings stop. So the key thing here to remember is once that happens, everything comes tumbling down. You have to understand that everything starts to fall. When you build a portfolio with high risk assets, the portfolio is going to collapse, and this is where we need to change. You need to change your approach of how you go about this, and you need to bring in more of the stock market mentality of building portfolios for long term and thinking long term. Stop thinking in the next 24 hours. Stop thinking in the next day or two. Start thinking in years. Start thinking of building a portfolio for the next maybe 5 to 10 years, and be in a position that maybe in 5 to 10 years you could be having that as extra income to basically relax and enjoy your life a bit more, take away some of the pressures. So as I said, now is the time to be starting it. So this brings me on to down here, and pretty much this is the approach you need to be taking for your actual portfolios. So again, if you can see this text here, I'll move it in a bit. So rewards are smaller, and not always is the key thing there, but you stay earning over a longer period of time and start to build a DeFi portfolio for the long term. Now, I have this image here as well, and hopefully you can see that is pretty much my mentality and my approach to portfolio building now is a lot different than it was maybe 12 months ago. It's a complete shift in how I use my assets and how I enter and exit into positions. I do a lot of lending and borrowing for the simple reason that when I go out of range to the upside, I'm happy to be earning the fees and obviously have some sort of revenue generation from price appreciation. Obviously, when it goes out of range to the bottom side, it's a different story. That's why we try to set wider ranges and stop being so goddamn greedy, I think, in the market. So this brings us over here to this tool, and this is a tool that I built out over the last couple of days, and pretty much the idea here is to help anyone get a better idea of a portfolio of how to build it out. Now, the link should be down below in the description. Click that, it'll bring you to all the process, whatever, to get it. But as I said, once you get the link, all it is it's simple enough. Open up the blueprint, and from here, this is going to allow us to get a clear understanding of what we can earn, what way a portfolio should be built, and pretty much that's it, kind of. So if we assume we're getting into this, as I mentioned in the thumbnail, it's $100. And as I said, I'm a firm believer here of you learn and earn pretty much in your cryptocurrency, and this is probably one of the best ways to actually grow portfolios, is willing to test out waters, see what's working and see what's not working. So In this scenario here, you can see here I have $100 in it. I have a balanced portfolio, so you can see here we can adjust these to whatever way we want. So if we want a bit more, less in foundation, a bit more for growth, or we're looking to kind of have a close enough balance there, you can see our high risk assets now are only 15%. Again, this is a massive difference in what we would have had up here, which more than likely we had probably 100%, 70% of our actual portfolio in high risk, because they were earning $600-700 every single day in area and every 2 or 3 days. But what happens is very quickly go out of range and you're wrecked. So with this tool, as I said, it gives you a top-down view to kind of see how you can actually structure it and potential pools you need to be looking at. So if we stick to this balanced approach, we want to have a portfolio that's growing. We want to have a steady and stable foundation to it. And obviously, look, we're all a bit of degen here. We all want to have a little bit of risk on the table to kind of earn that potential higher yield and grow your bags potentially a bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is we're going to jump quickly over here to VFAT, and we're going to do VFAT, DeFi Llama, and again PancakeSwap, and pretty much we're going to kind of go through and pick ourselves a few different positions here on this. So the first things first is we jump in here to DeFi Llama, and what I want to do here is find positions that are stable coins, and I'll just put in that for a minute to see. So here's a host of different positions on different chains, and I think if we can kind of go through this, you can see there's some there for 14, 15%, 7%, and what I'm going to do is just try and get a minimum APY roughly of 12% to see what comes up. Right, so we have Pendle Finance straight away here is often 30% APY, and again I have to convert this obviously to APR, but just say it's around 27% APR. So you can see here we have 30%, we have another one at 32%, you have another one at Pendle at 34%, and if we move away from Pendle, you have REUSDC, Morpho version 1, 12%, still not bad. You have another one at 17%. Obviously, the problem here with Ethereum, there's high gas fees, so $100 is not going to really make a massive impact there because you're going to get absolutely wrecked with gas fees. So we would look to kind of avoid, obviously, Ethereum, 27%. So we'll take the Pendle one, we'll take around 25%. And again, you can see there very quickly all the different amounts that are actually there. So if we jump over here, you can see 25% of an APR is built straight away into our foundation, and from there you can already see our estimated monthly income is only 232, not an extreme. Projected balance after 12 months, again not an extreme, but this is long-term planning, long-term gains. So our next step is the growth stage. We're looking for something that's going to be in the growth stage, and we're looking for something, a decent bit of an APR here. So again, what I do here is I look at different opportunities, and going to use VFAT again, and all I'm trying to do here is just break up different protocols, different platforms, and potential earnings on those. So ideally what I want here is I want to be focusing on potentially the wrapped ETH positions, and we want to look at obviously something like wrapped ETH USDC 258%. Now again, look, that's an extreme tight range there straight away. So what we want to do is we want to bring that range right down for ourselves. So we bring it down to roughly 22% width in the range. So 10% to the downside, 12% to the upside. And just because of everything, I like to kind of just keep them as close as possible as we can. 24% is still a 65% APR. Most people would just ignore this because it's still not what they want. Now, for me personally, I would even bring this further down and get it to around 40 to 50% APR. So 41%, I know I'm going to be earning here on this position at roughly 40%. It's going to fluctuate like massive, but again, the key here is you're starting to grow your portfolio. So next what we're going to do is look at the high side, and obviously these are the high risk ones that you don't want to be really that massively heavy in it, and even at this 15% of your portfolio probably is a little bit too high even for this. So for the purpose of this, what we're going to do again is I was looking on PancakeSwap, there's nothing major there. So again, we're just going to go to VFAT. All we're doing is picking a potential meme coin, whatever, on this that's pretty much as high APRs, and that is the goal here. So you could look through these and see what they are, see can you kind of get a balance here. It's not a case of getting into something that you haven't a clue about. I think the key here is you make sure you get something that's kind of has potential. So there's one here, USDT and Black. This is a platform, Black Hole, I think it's a protocol call, and this is obviously on Avalanche. You can see TVL is super low there, so straight away now I would avoid this anyway for starters. I was looking at the APR, but again, TVL is really low. Tend to look at something that has a decent TVL. So here's one, Lena MUSD, I think it's MetaMask, is it USD? And we could potentially look at this one. Again, this is on the Lena chain. So here's a position you could get into to see what potential APR we can get. So setting yourself a wide enough range as well. So for now, again, 8%. As I said, if we can see, can I get the contract to this quickly? Right, so I got the contract to this, and you can see this Lena MUSD. And again, if we jump over here, you can see this is not potentially anything to be interesting to get in it. But at this moment in time, considering what has happened, it has massively dropped right up there. So even as I said, roughly the 3 or 4%, you know, it is gone within a day or two. So very, very risky, these higher yields, and that's what you have to understand. It's pretty much of the, is it worth the risk for you? So even at this is only 8.5% range. I'm only betting 282% in total. And you can see here, if I can bring this into the hourly time frame, and if we got into this position, just say 30 this morning roughly, or last night, if we got into this, you're pretty much almost out of range already from it. And you can see how quickly, so I said around there is pretty much where we're going to be out of range in this position. So this is something you have to remember. So again, we're going to use that as an example just to showcase it, and roughly we'll say 280%. And again, you build this into here, 280%. Now you can see your portfolio is roughly earning, hopefully you can see it, I'll try and hide myself for a second. So hopefully you can see it here that you're earning around $590 per month. Your projected balance, obviously with compounding into this, is going to be roughly $304. And again, the key here is you can see the breakdown. The foundation level is 38%, $38 your capital, 47 is going into growth, which is 41%. And again, the high risk is only $15 into it. And pretty much just tab will show you some of the different protocols that you can get into. So again, foundation is stablecoin farming, mid cap growth, auto compounders, beefy, VFAT, boosted pools, moderate volatility, LPs, which is obviously Ethereum, that like I mentioned, in altcoin. And then again, here are a bit more risky pools. Obviously I mentioned here is NFT and liquid NFT pools, but you're looking at the likes of your memes, all these new farms are popping up that you could potentially earn from it. But I do recommend and I do advise is that you make sure that you do as much research as you can on whatever one of these riskier positions you're wanting to get in as part of your high risk strategy, because at the end of the day, you still don't want to be giving away, even if it was whatever I have over here, which is roughly $15 of, is it? Yeah, roughly $15. Hopefully you can see it there. And you don't want to be just losing it for no reason. So you can see how quickly portfolios will start to grow. Yeah, $5 a month or $6 a month is nothing to write home about. It's not an extreme. However, over time, it's going to start printing more and more and more for you. If you can start adding funds to this, it's going to earn more and more. And again, it's like everything. Once you can start earning with $100, you change that to $1,000, you'll still earn. You change that to 10,000, you'll still earn. You can see how quickly things will start to snowball and escalate in crypto once you kind of have a clear plan and a clear understanding of where things are going with it. So look, I'm going to leave it there. You can see, as I mentioned, we build our portfolios like this. Simple and straightforward, strong foundation. You have medium risk plays, which are kind of your blue chip assets. Like I kind of mentioned here, we grow our portfolios. And again, you can still tap into the high risk if you want to. Again, if you don't want to, remove it completely. You'll have a much stronger and longer lasting portfolio over the time. And as I mentioned, if you're interested in getting the tool, the link below in the description, just click that. You'll get all the, if you're interested in joining the community, I think the link is below that link as well. You can click that, join it. Pretty much this is what I'm trying to do with the community, is building up, helping people build up portfolios, helping people avoid the mistakes that happen in crypto, the many mistakes that happen in crypto, and pretty much giving you as a user an opportunity to kind of learn a bit more about what's happening in the space, such as protecting your assets. Goes over this guide on everything in that, We have a video broke down, obviously, of the entire thing as well, just to kind of explain it and go through the information on it. So look, links are all below in the description. And again, look, I'm going to leave it there. If you got it this far, thanks very much for watching. Happy Halloween. Hope everyone gets enough sweets to keep them happy over the entire weekend. So see you on the next one.